다치로 강가다시 데레 강가 데워도 키워야 보여요.
So, firstly, Tashi Dele, greetings to all of my Dharma friends. I hope that you're well. I hope that you are happy.
tani ngaro sumali yapo te tani ta mase te tani yapo kandi sendo kare ta te pa se lele chi to li dewa chi kandi chi to le pa chi nyole ane ya kandi sendo kare te te is.
So, I'll explain a little bit, as usual, about having achieved this precious human rebirth, how to make our life go in a positive, in a wholesome direction, and how to establish in this way a relaxed body and a happy, healthy mind.
ta tani ngaro so ane se ge dinin dewa ya ba no ji nika ge te shi ta tu ge te shi de ya ge ta ya shon da go chi te la ko le la wo gom ja ya ane din di go ja ya ane te se thar kale te ya chamo go ja ya ta ya shu ji ge ne se kare ya se ta ma ni ja je ale ya ge ne se ji ya res.
And so, in terms of having achieved this human body, then if we want to maximize this, we want to try to use our mind in a way that can work towards achieving not just temporary happiness, but also ultimate happiness. And one of the best methods for working towards both this temporary and ultimate happiness that can start in a very easy way, get more and more advanced until it probes the very subtle nature of things, is this meditation on the four close placements of mindfulness.
다 윤중의 거자와라 소바도 세 돈용고는 되는 헬레진에 대하라 소바 다 로바그네스 리라고요 뭐지가 res.
So, there are many ways to, for example, place our attention on the breath, to place the close placement of mindfulness of what is happening on the surface level of the mind, right? There are many of these more sort of evident aspects of the four close placements of mindfulness, which are easy to practice.
다 나로서 테네시아 비세 벨레 템보지도 다 대신 이내리아 그게 달로 여보지를 봐 템보지도야 달라 또 때문에 저거 돈에 내가 이제를 반 줘야 돼 알아야 되니 같이 보지.
But if we want to have our mind stable, if we want to be able to achieve a real and lasting happiness, if we want the practice of these to be a true path to liberation, what we want to do is to connect the four close placements of mindfulness with the points related to the Four Noble Truths.
tene 다 가진 것만도 차야 될 리테만이야 자고 말할 때네 때네 누가 dem비겠냐서 여보 시시더야 아니 저와 대만이야 나 때네 근주 대마가 다 어다내서 미서더야 아니 샘 대만이야 라 때네 처음 절었더니 구대 가정하면 안 좋은 구대 타봐 가리시 어느 미서 그거를 되지 잡아래 처음 절로 요 로델로 해야 되지 자요 요 아래.
So Geshe was just explaining that in the previous sessions he mentioned a bit about this, how the close placement of mindfulness on the body helps us realize the true sufferings aspect of the Four Noble Truths. Close placement of mindfulness on feelings helps us to comprehend true origins. When we talk about the close placement of mindfulness on the mind, there are two presentations. One says that this helps us to understand true cessations, which is the way that Geshe explained it. But there are also some who say close placement of mindfulness on the mind can help us to understand true paths.
달리 솜새 써 마인비 같은 기대만 해자 기도를 드는 봐 아니 다 어디야 공장을 때는 야테만 해자 그 돈이나 요 단계라 봐 노지 아니 저 로데를 넣어야 지도 아니 구데를 넣어야 다 내서 아니 그사 소소 놀래라 때는 또 해야 돼.
So, having gone through the close placements of mindfulness on the body, feelings, and mind, we are left with all of those things that do not fit into those categories of bodies, feelings, and mind. And this is under the fourth category, the fourth close placement of mindfulness, which is close placement of mindfulness on phenomena. And the close placement of mindfulness on phenomena can be linked both to true paths as well as to true cessations. So, like the previous one, it can be linked to two.
다 드리죠 드는 야 로데가 또 드는 야 기대만 해자 공발라 때는 로가 또 바간디스 또 그렇게 걸 당하고 거기 봐 니디신 또
And so, Geshe-la's idea for this session today was to explain a little bit about the close placements of mindfulness on phenomena from the perspective of true paths mainly. So, he'll explain it from the perspective of true paths mainly, and he will also treat the session as like a meditation.
All to say Rombas Johnny Lele Jinipadiachi.
So, just in stages, let us first place our body and mind in a relaxed state.
Nima Timbu Gani Timbarji Paison and Masawal and Rivas, Tenoji, say Priyatswad, not which Painella, Nessawa, the Apochas, Somata.
So, just as we think when the sun is obscured by clouds, if the moisture of those clouds is evaporated, then the clouds no longer obscure the natural brilliant light of the sun. If there are any distracting thoughts or feelings arising, imagine that these are cleared away by the mind's luminous nature.
Tataricas Papa Chitemania Combala Tene, Anne Longe de Basati, Nisabaya Pasivi, so much.
And then, as a motivation, think through today's meditation on the close placements of mindfulness on phenomena. As much as possible, I will try to bring forth an understanding of true paths within the Four Noble Truths, true paths within my mind.
Teo Chi Sat Cosa, Alan Kachibon, Alan Motombo Ni, Guniniamo Puchi, Saj, no Yongichi, Ni art.
So when we speak of phenomena in sort of the basic, the beginning presentation, we can speak of phenomena in terms of two categories. The categories of the completely afflicted class of phenomena and the category of the completely purified class of phenomena.
Guniniamo Puchi, Sanatsanya Drudu, Niashala Sobat, that's Mombochi.
In the completely afflicted class of phenomena, it contains many things. For example, it talks about the 6 root afflictions, the 22 branch afflictions, and so forth.
Tandrigata, the actual control Siwazon and Azwa, and in Mariba, to Sikabwas or Dejito, Shipitin and Azwa Trato, or that Dejito, Shipitin, Yellow Mambo, Chiares.
So we could say that within these afflictions, the 6 root afflictions, we talk about the 3 main ones as the 3 poisons, which are attachment, anger, and ignorance. And then we add things like pride, jealousy, and so forth.
Teji Kanga, Narusin, the Chushuni, Zitanya, the Chamber Boyedo, Martu, Nealas, Kanga, Shekikatini, Talanta with Zod cross train was.
And when we think of this completely afflicted class of phenomena, in particular these afflictions, we see that all of the problems that we experience, from the very smallest inconvenience to the very greatest problems, for example, the wars, the conflicts in the world, all of them can be traced back to these afflictions.
Sosoinayo, Sosoinayo, Mainare, Tandoinare, Imachilina, Teleto, Kiwatemome was okay, cross trains.
And in terms of our own experience as a human being, but also other sentient beings, such as the animals and so forth, their lack of capacity to have a stable happiness for even one day is linked to these afflictions.
Tadi chini ngarusuko leka machena, ani nyembogo leka machena, kadijina, tadi chini dewe aita, mali yako matse yako tala, ani ini menja, pakorosuli nyembochi, deka.
So, if we don't use our human life, the situation we have now, to cultivate antidotes to counter these afflictions, then there will be no, improvement. So, we really have to use this precious human rebirth, this human life and intelligence, partly to bring forth the antidotes to these afflictions.
Korosu shurutoya, korosu nipa mebazoya, korosu peta, zawane mebazoya, netsujiwa aita, deyu korosu ya, dendra kuchiretsu kiwares.
It is said that the afflictions have one quality, which is that if we cultivate the antidotes, we can make them less strong, reduce their intensity. We can diminish them until they are minute. We can completely clear them away by cultivating the antidotes.
Nyambo yo, nyambo rapa gomba ina, ane shompa gomba, nyinji gomba, ane zewa, 다 초시라서 바다다 대스냐뭐 라바트로 열 거르소 슈슈르도 니바슈르도
And so when we speak of the antidotes, we can speak of the antidotes that are a little bit more manifest or the coarser antidotes, positive qualities like love, compassion, patience, and so forth. When we cultivate these directions within the mind, then those antidotes, they can reduce, they can greatly diminish those afflictions.
좀바도 니질라서 바셀 소소 그냥 거기 셀 공바다가 롱 고추바다가 롱 소소가 셀 셔와지 tel레신 고추야
And you'll see actually that when you meditate on love and compassion, or just bringing love and compassion into the mind, actually immediately that will bring forth a sense of like stable peace and happiness, even just on the immediate level.
다 대존지들이 님보 따다로 그래 내와서 더 그래서 소도야 말에 될 소소 못도가 또 비시라 아니 tumanya damya chara mongo yare tandiri tobe shiraji ramba ajita chini tani pato moso
But if you ask with those antidotes, the coarser antidotes of love and compassion, can this clear away the afflictions completely? No, they cannot clear away the afflictions completely. To do that, we need to cultivate the more subtle antidotes, wisdom realizing impermanence, wisdom realizing emptiness, and so forth. We need to cultivate those particular antidotes from their coarser manifestation down to the very most subtle.
tandiri puja ga nyemu be shu dala kade nyemu ba sa ale shamba to ni ji se ba to nya to be shira la so ba te dala no jo ge shu sa ta nyemu shu
And so these afflictions, such as attachment, anger, ignorance, and so forth, that Geshe mentioned, these are part of the first category of phenomena, the completely afflicted class of phenomena. And their antidotes, such as love, compassion, patience, and so forth, these are categorized under the other category of completely pure class of phenomena.
shamba to ni ji to dan to ni to be shira shu chir ndo ne la to ma ni esa ta ka di to so na shamba to ni ji ane to ni to be shira kanga de ba je ne lo de se ta
So once we develop our love, compassion, but especially the wisdom realizing emptiness, the moment that we have that direct realization of wisdom realizing emptiness, following that direct realization of emptiness, that wisdom as well as the love and compassion that assist it, these become true paths within the Four Noble Truths, true paths. And at that point, we have opened the door to being able to solve the problem of samsara completely. And at that point, a special happiness arises within the mind. And at that point, we have a chance at real and lasting happiness. What an amazing profit is that! With this precious human rebirth, we have our human life. We must cultivate this practice. There is nothing to do other than cultivate this practice. Bring forth that determination joyfully. So when we talk about the self, and especially we talk about my mind and my body, when we talk about the self in the sense of my mind and my body, we can talk about the self as the agent or the user of the resource, of the particular thing. And so on the general level, there is a agent or user of the resources, right? There is a nominal self or capital letter I, yes. However, there's a problem, which is that this mind of ignorance, when it conceptualizes that self, it conceptualizes a self or a capital letter I that is permanent, autonomous, and independent. And this is a mistake that must be addressed.
던지가 마 따봐 기고와 아니 로마시 때는 문도 서봐 같이 보지.
We need to bring forth a thought, an important thought that thinks there is the self that is permanent, autonomous, and independent. There is no such self that exists in that way at all.
다 이제 뭐 할 때, 리라고잖아. 거제도 지에 아니 내가 뭐 줄 띠바이자 뭐 띠바지 뭐 디와스.
There's easy reasons that we can use to begin to explore this. One is that the self arises from the coming together of causes and conditions. There is no self that does not exist in dependence upon causes and conditions. So
대하고
no self that exists without dependence on causes and conditions. My apologies.
대하고서는 갈래 대라 되네. 아니 저저의 정신이 봐. 사티고 그렇게.
And slowly, slowly, as we contemplate these matters, we can come to the conclusion that self lacks inherent existence or natural existence.
대를 좋아하는 시소나 처바시에 사고요. 군도시에 사고요. 영모 간디스이나 이콜. 아니 그 이해돼. 소망을 좀 해봐 자꾸.
And so then, from understanding this a little bit, when attachment arises, when anger arises, the object, the thing that we see through the lens of that attachment, through the lens of that anger, we'll know that it does not really exist in the way that it is appearing.
근데 영모 간가 고즈마이 마시 하고서나 아니 소소 내가 시도요.
On that basis, we then understand that the afflictions are essentially deceptive. They are deceiving us, and then we can clear away those afflictions.
디인지부터 가디나 소소 리디아와 세 쇼와 소소의 몸에 소소의 야에 뭐도 또 세이나 열려 친구스.
And on the basis of this, then the result is that we are healthy, we have a happier mind. And because of that, because of our way of being, then this will also benefit our partner, our families, our pets, even the animals that draw close to us.
어다 할래야게 됐어. 신두 선배통 가게 말이더니 말이지. 이 선배.
So thinking that this is really an incredible opportunity, an incredible situation, then meditate on wishing to cultivate this with a mind of joy.
야 되지.
Thanks very much. We'll stop there.
어다 디디치도 디치래. 스톤처럼 당길라바 뭐지 로델 다이 단에서 단다 뭐 모여 할때 당가도 알레리라고 지금 봐. 미니신도 알레스.
So Geshe said, thank you very much. That was a brief presentation of close placements of mindfulness of phenomena from the perspective of true paths. So Geshe just gave you sort of a brief idea, but can also come to a longer exploration.
야 되지.
Thank you very much.